talk a little bit about Ohio State because I think that a top 4 team loses. I think it's something that we do need to mention. I'm still very much in on them being like a number 1 seed. I don't think losing to this Michigan team should do anything to affect your opinion of this team at all. I thought that they played really, really well. I thought the flaws in some of their the things that they do defensively and some of their issues in the paint were kind of exposed by Michigan. But again, like on another day, maybe E.J. Liddell, instead of going 7 for 15, goes 9 for 15. Kyle Young is a little bit more effective. Justin Arns makes a couple threes, and it's a different game. But for me, again, I think the difference between really good teams and great teams are the great teams are not going to beat themselves. And I thought that at the end of this game down the stretch, I don't necessarily think that Ohio State gave the game to Michigan, but they ensured that they were not going to win this game with some of the things that happened down the stretch. And there were 3 things specifically. One, that behind the back pass, man,
that was so bad. It bounced 3 times, did it not?
It was. So I don't think that. So I saw people criticizing him for throwing the behind the back pass, but if that pass, that's kind of how you have to make that pass in that situation, considering where he is on the floor, where the defense is, how they're lined up, and where you want that ball to go. So I don't think it was the fact that it was a behind the back pass. I think no matter how he threw that pass, it was going to be a dumb pass because E.J. Liddell was not.
No one was there. They looked they were one of the I thought they were staggering at first. They looked like they were setting a stagger or somebody was going to the basket. I didn't know what would.
There was some kind of miscommunication that led it to going from being a 3-point game with 2.5 minutes left with the ball to being a 6-point game with 2.5 minutes left after an and one at the other end. That was kind of like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah,
more or less. It was going to be very, very difficult for Ohio State to come back after that. But then they still had a chance, except for Dwayne Washington made 2 just completely head scratching defensive plays. One of them was. Michigan was down, or Michigan was up 4. I want to say there was a minute 45 left, and there's 5 seconds on the shot clock. He's guarding Mike Smith. Ball goes to he's guarding Eli Brooks. Ball goes to Eli Brooks. He closes out 4 feet to the dude's left and gives him a lane right down to the middle of the basket. Eli Brooks missed the layup, but that's when Hunter Dickinson got the tap in, and everybody gave Hunter Dickinson credit for getting that putback, which yes, they probably should, but Dwayne Washington just playing Ole defense, go drive right down the middle of the lane. I don't want to defend this paint here. I don't want to defend it. That's basically what he did. And then the other one, what the hell was he doing on that double team? Remember that,
bro? At the end of the day, you can. How can I put it? I try to relate this to other people before. It's just all right, you can sit there and say, you could have won the game if you didn't have those if they took care of those plays that you just mentioned there. Mm-hmm. And I know some people will say, they could have won the game if they took care of business early. But when you get the opportunity to play in these close games, all these little things matter. So I know it's important to look at the entirety of the game and say Ohio State could have did this better and that better. But they still had the opportunity to win the game. And when you have that double team was stupid. It just wasn't. I couldn't think of any. I didn't know if that was. It didn't look. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I saw them doubled throughout the game. So initially, when I first saw, I was just I don't know if that was the coach's idea, more or less. So I don't want to say he was.
I know how I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't. He got back to the huddle. Yeah, Chris Holtman's a pretty mild-mannered guy. He got back to the huddle, and Chris Holtman was lighting his ass. That's how you know that it's that was not something that Chris Holtman was expecting.
That's why I said I don't want to say he was stupid. I wanted to say that the action of the double team was not the smartest thing at that time. It's
it's also kind of the give and take with Dwayne Washington, right? There's guys that you play that knowing that there's going to be some defensive mistakes because that they can go out there and get you 30.
And that sucks too because he has such a great game, man. Had such a great game. It was so difficult for Michigan to guard him. It was. How about I hate to take off of Ohio State because this section is about them. How about Hunter Dickinson with the minute and 20 left? on the perimeter. At the elbow-ish. Was he guarding like EJ Liddell?
Mm-hmm.
He got the stop to go on the other end to get that putback.
Blocked the shot, right?
Blocked it. Yeah, got a hand on that. Got back there. Like I was very impressed with the game, man. It might have been, to me, probably like the best game I've seen all year, man. So
yeah,
shout out to both those teams. Man.
So to put a bow on it, I'm still just as enamored with Ohio State as I was before. I still think that they're probably the front runner for that last number 1 seed. And I'm very, very interested in seeing what happens when Michigan plays. They get Iowa on Thursday. I'm looking at the schedule right now. They get Iowa on Thursday night, Indiana on Saturday, and then Illinois next Tuesday, I believe it is. Yeah, next Tuesday. So
I don't want to write them. I don't want to write Iowa off, but I cannot wait to watch him play against Luka Garza.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I cannot wait.
Great game.